over to you. Thank you. David, do you want me to start anything? As in, I have already
Oh, if you're
shared the
ready for me to
forward.
go, I'm sorry. I didn't know
Yes.
that you were ready for me to start talking. Okay, very good. So I'm glad that everybody was able to join here today. The purpose of this call was to do a little bit of a walkthrough of the swarm piece of the roundtable discussions that will happen next week. And so that we'll be able to share this information with other of your peers who are not able to be here, so we can just kind of do a quick walkthrough. So if for the purposes of this exercise, we will assume that you all here participating are the audience members at one of the days of the roundtable, excuse me, of MetaView Safety Week. And we have heard the agenda, and correct me if I'm wrong, Banerjee or Kavya or anybody, correct me. What will have happened up until this point will, the first topic will have been discussed, and so a number of important issues will have all been raised and discussed at the roundtable. At which point the leader, Banerjee, I believe on day one, that will be you, or Kavya, will then introduce the fact that we are now going to gather information from the participants, from the attendees, in order to just get a different perspective on the elements, on the items under conversation. Banerjee and Kavya, that tracks with your expectations so far?
That's perfect, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, great. At which point the leader on that particular day will introduce me. And I'm happy to provide information, but I'm also happy to just quit. The intention here is to quickly move through. So it goes something like, thank you very much. My name is David Baltax. I'm the President and Chief Intelligence Officer at Unanimous AI. Unanimous AI develops technology that connects people together to harness and amplify their collective intelligence and enable groups to make better decisions, evaluations, and forecasts. Our technology is called artificial swarm intelligence, also known as swarm AI, and it's based on the extraordinary phenomenon known as swarm intelligence, which enables swarms of bees, flocks of birds, and schools of fish to solve problems collectively that are well beyond the capability of any single insect or animal. Humans didn't evolve this capability, so we use advanced technology to bring these benefits to groups of any size: business teams, boardrooms, executive leadership groups, and even large organizations and communities. Our solutions have been used by the world's leading universities, as well as the largest financial institutions, market research firms, the US Air Force, and the United Nations. Today, we will use our swarm platform to combine the knowledge, wisdom, insights, and intuition of all of you, the conference speakers and attendees. To do so, we will need you to point your browser to a link that I will share in chat. Now, for those of you who are taking a quick step out, for those of you who are involved in managing the session, you will have this link early, so that you'll be able to join the swarm, follow the swarm link, and also provide it to a group of handpicked people that you want to make sure can participate. The swarm room will be capped at 100 people. So if there is a particular group of people who you definitely want to be able to have participate, you'll be able to share that link. Now, this link is not the link that we'll use on the day of. I will have a different link for each of the roundtables, but suffice to say today, you can go ahead and when you're ready, just go ahead and click on that link, and it will open up going back to the script here, I've posted into chat the link to join the swarm session. Clicking on the link will open a new browser window. And so this will be available to all of the participants on Zoom. So if you'll go ahead and do that, please. You'll need to use a computer or tablet. Mobile devices are not recommended for today's session. Okay, I see a good number of people have joined the swarm so far, and more are joining as we speak. So the room is limited to 100 people. So for those of you who are not able to participate in the swarm, you'll be able to watch the swarm at work here in Zoom. And what we'll ask is that, and Banerjee, Kavya, whoever is managing Zoom, whoever is leading the session, should log into the swarm session and share their screen. So they should be one of those people that we give the link to early, and they should be able to share their screen right now. So if one of you wish to do that, that'd be great. That way we can get the full feel here. Terrific. Thank you, Banerjee. Today, we'll combine your input with the Swarm AI technology to gather insights and unlock the collective intelligence of the group. When you put your mouse next to the spinning puck, it turns into a magnet. Your magnet is green. Everyone else's magnet is gold. Use your magnet to pull on the puck. I see some people are doing this. Great. In a moment, I will present a question, and a set of answers will appear on the screen with that question. Our goal is to work together to converge on the best possible answer that we can in 60 seconds. So use your magnet to pull for the answer or answers you believe in, but remain open to compromise if you think it's appropriate, so that an answer can be arrived at in time. The closer your magnet is to the puck, the stronger its pull. You do not have to click or swipe. Simply keep repositioning your magnet so it's pulling in the appropriate direction. Keep in mind you need to pull continuously with your magnet during each answer. If you are not pulling with your magnet, you are not contributing or participating, and you do not have impact or influence over the outcome. Again, our goal is to converge on the best possible answer for each question by combining the knowledge, wisdom, insights, and intuition of the full group. So let's start with a warm-up question to make sure everyone knows how to move the puck. There'll be a 3, 2, 1 countdown. And then set your magnet during the 3, 2, 1 countdown to pull for the choice that you best believe. We wanted to bring the puck over to one of the answers. Again, the closer your magnet is to the puck, the stronger its pull. And let's see if we can work together to find an answer that we can agree upon. So now we just settle the puck over the light, hold it there for 2 seconds, and it registers. We have the selection of antibiotics. You'll see that there's a conviction score, it indicates 56%. The conviction score indicates how well aligned the group was in its answer. So even if you were pulling for a different choice and then later decided to join in with with a compromise solution, your data has been collected and it is calculated into all of the data that we report. Okay, seems like everybody has a good handle on how to manage the interface. Now we can do, we'll do one, for the purpose of this display, we can just do 1 or 2 questions from that have been prepared by one of your peers, and then we can stop and ask some questions. So one of the questions that will come up which of these is the most critical for effective governance in the metaverse? Now, the full question is which of these will be most effective for governance in the metaverse. You can see the options distributed around the hexagon. Set your magnet now during the 3, 2, 1 countdown. And let's see what we can, if we can find an answer that we can best agree with. Okay, we have about 30 seconds left. Let's see if we can find a compromise choice. Remember that the closer your magnet is to the puck, the stronger its pull. You don't need to click, you don't need to swipe, just keep repositioning your magnet until the puck is over and held over the node for 2 seconds. All right, great. At which point we can then pause, depending on the leader, if they wish to pause and discuss what we just, the choice that was just arrived at, we can do that, or I will leave it to the leader to let us know whether we should move on to the next question. And we will proceed like that in terms of asking questions, having an opportunity to reflect on that if the leader wishes to reflect on it. I can make a couple of comments about how the group was behaving, if that's appropriate. And then, and then we will wrap up with roughly 5 questions. And then, one thing I did want to mention is it is certainly possible, as it started to look like was possible as well, is that the group might be divided between 2 choices or 3 choices, and the 60 seconds will expire and they will not have arrived at an answer. That's a condition we call brain freeze. It comes up on the screen as brain freeze. And all that means is that the group was unable to arrive at an answer. If we are not pressed for time, and the leader would like to do that, the discussion leader would like to, we can repeat the question and see if the group is able to come to an answer. Otherwise, it might be fine for the leader just to remark that there were 2 choices that that this group decided were so important and they couldn't compromise on it, and that's fine. There are 2 choices that were considered the most important in that situation. And the leader can speak to that if they like, and then we can move on. So this should be, and I have already spoken to each of the roundtable leaders, this should be somewhat of a ongoing conversation between the leader and me, as it were, as a representative of the swarm, and we can then take that back and forth. If the leader wishes to reflect on those on the answers, they can go ahead and do so. And then I would hand it, when we were finished with the allotted questions, I will simply say thank you, everybody. Those are the questions that we have today. You can close your browser tab and return back to the Zoom meeting for the balance of the session.
Right. Thank you, David. David, how are we going to know the best options, as in the best 2 options? Is it based on the conviction score? Will we know the conviction scores of all the options that are there on the screen that people have tried to select?
I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah.
If I may chime in, so the best option is not coming from the Swarm AI. The best option is coming from the multi-stakeholder group. And, that's the whole, it's there. These questions don't really have an accurate answer. These questions are really liberally designed to just say, hey, this is what the group thinks is the best option. And we will reflect. So all the chairs or the moderators who will participate in this exercise right after David reveals the response, they can, also ask, like, please raise your hand as you would like to comment, or raise your hand if you think, you have an objection and why. We would love to hear that. And the one thing that I want to mention is we have to keep in mind that we have a very limited amount of time. So if we're running out of time, we may not do some reflection on the last one. So what is the benefit of this compared to a normal poll? That I would defer that to David.
So thanks. I'm trying to go back and forth with chat, and I was looking there. So the difference between this type of activity and a poll, in a poll or any kind of survey, every person is simply checking a box, and they are doing so in isolation. We have no sense of strength of opinion. We have no sense of levels of conviction. In a swarm, which is a real-time system, the group is all participating together in real time, and they're expressing their conviction through the behaviors of their magnet. They are acting and reacting with one another and interacting with one another. And what you don't see is the artificial swarm intelligence technology, which is also mediating that environment. It is actually doing some manipulation of the levels of influence based off of the behavior of each of those participants in order to help the group arrive at an answer that maximizes conviction and optimizes the conviction of the answer. Typically, I was going to say the accuracy, but it's to Kavya's point, this is more of an open-ended response. I can, if that's important, if you think that that's important for me to talk about before we dive in more detail, I'm happy to do so. I was really just trying to be as brief as possible as we went into this introduction.
David, during the sessions, are we going to have a chance at the end of each one to see the heat map, which might help lend itself kind of to the conversation and the ability to see that it's here's where everybody was kind of going? And related to that, the summary that you just gave, I think, is really, really useful. And I know we've only got, you've got maybe 5 minutes to introduce Swarm to everybody. But I think it's important folks recognize that this isn't about, I don't know, kind of getting that point across that it's, taking the idea from Swarm, but the idea here is this is what everybody landed on based on the interaction with the process in terms of selecting an answer, a possible answer to the question as a group, as opposed to with ranked choice voting or some other kinds of ways of answering those questions, right? Kind of getting that idea across to the folks that are participating in real time.
Yeah, again, I'm just trying to balance here the execution of the questions.
Yeah, with the very little time to do anything, right?
Right. With the
yeah.
So to answer your first question, Jordan, no, we weren't. I was not going to show any of the back end immediately. Again, because of time,
sure.
Our intention was really just to go through it, talk to what's on the screen. In order to get to that back end, it's actually a different part of the application, and switching those types of views. Now, we will have that available for everybody. The data back end, the visualizations, all of that will be available so that for a follow-up communication after the conference, where you'll be able to include all of that information in your communications.
Okay. Great, thanks.
It is analyzing, I'm just looking through chat here. Swarm is analyzing the behavior of all the participants in real time. Yes. So as opposed to simply treating people as data points, we treat people as data processors. We will present on the screen, as you saw, the final answer that the group came to and the conviction score. But as I just mentioned to Jordan, the more advanced analytics are not going to have an opportunity. We just don't have the time to be able to show that here. How does this work with non-confrontational people? Actually, it's interesting, and Ren, it is a longer conversation, but it really is reflective of their individual levels of conviction. What we found is this interface actually removes the typical issues of confrontation, both through anonymity, but also by removing the verbal cues, which are by that combination actually removes a lot of the concerns that individuals have who are quote unquote non-confrontational. We are not collecting any demographic or any personal data during this exercise at all. So just basically at the highest level, the group is working together to find the choice that maximizes their conviction. That what our research has shown that is very representative and highly satisfactory to the participants because of the high levels of agency and contribution that they have when they're engaging in this group activity, this highly collaborative group activity. As Kavya pointed out, there's no ground truth for the types of questions we're going to be asking today. In fact, the questions that Elizabeth prepared as I'm looking at them, right? So that first one, which of these is most critical for effective governance in the metaverse? This is the answer we're coming to is a reflection of the group's overall opinion. We might do a forecast, but again, it will be the reflection of the group's collective opinion. A ratings question for perhaps the effectiveness of current regulatory frameworks from 1 very ineffective to 5 very effective. Again, a reflection of the group's prevailing opinion or their group's collective opinion. So keep that in mind, that we are not necessarily, that there is not a ground truth here. What we are doing is we're actually going to be able to present of the people who are participating what their sense is, what their expectations are, what their sentiments are. How do we know this will not lead to group thinking scenario, like herding mentality, things like that? We have tons of research on our website that will go through that. But essentially, the issues of herding and groupthink in those kinds of situations are really reflected on following behavior because of typically within a serial activity. In swarm environments, because it is real time, because everyone is interacting and acting together, we actually mitigate most of those issues. And then when you do have issues where you have collective weight, the AI is actually actively compensating for much of that. Again, I don't want to go into lots of those details now, but happy to have sidebar on that at another point. Dylan, you bring up a lot of good points about the interface. Happy to chat with you about that offline.
I just want to point out that let's please ask questions that relate to the Metaverse Safety Week roundtable discussion, because this has been decided to be chosen. If this was a virtual world like traditional days, this whole program would not be as accessible as we have made it. So, all of those concerns, classifications, they are all valid, but now is not the time. Now is the time to understand how we are going to use this tool. If there is any concern, any particular logistical or operational question. So one question that I want to answer is, all the mods will upfront declare that today we will not be collecting any personal data or any demographics on any individual. This is by design a multi-stakeholder exercise, and that's why the analysis would help us, and it will be put in the post roundtable report. Any other improvement questions of the platform, any other, hey, has Air Force used it, focus group used it, all this, email David, and I'm sure, this is practically the purpose, to demonstrate human intelligence in the loop. Imagine an AI is making a decision on whether this person in Yemen should be bombed. And this kind of scenarios have happened. And the human intelligence in the loop is 3 or let's say 5 people, and if they make that decision in isolation versus they actually get together quickly in 30 seconds, make that decision, that's life and death when it comes to these type of human intelligence in the loop. And that's the biggest power of this platform, is to allow us to collectively decide, hey, governance, regulatory governance is important, and that's what we heard at the Metaverse Safety Week.
Kavya, how much of what you just said is important for me to include? Again, I'm trying to, my intention in my remarks was really just to get people to execute. I hadn't done any of that presentation you said. Now, again, I'm thinking about this specifically for Metaverse Safety Week. You tell me if you want to.
David, I will write a script with the data collection point, with the importance of the human intelligence in the loop. That's who we are, XRSI. And so I will write a script for the mod 1. So yours can totally simply be the role for logistics and execution. And then mod 1, mod 2, mod 3, those people that are dedicated moderators, they will play that, sort of more of a presentation type of role.
Perfect. Thank you. And to echo Kavya's point, I put my email address in the chat. Happy to talk to you, Dylan, or anybody else about the various other applications or interface questions or things like that. Yes, we do a lot of work in market research and with brand agencies as well.
Yeah.
And yes, it does note if people are not participating. You very, very often get a prompt. We only ran through one question, so it probably didn't trigger.
Right. David, one quick question. Has this ever been used in the context of Metaverse roundtable discussions with any global organization?
It has not been used with, so Swarm has been used at conferences, but never a Metaverse conference. We have used it, Swarm has been used in, so the short answer is probably no, Kavya. This would be
so that means that I can simply declare this is the first time ever in the history we will come together as a collective intelligence, yada, yada.
Cool. Absolutely. It took me a second to catch up to you where you were going, but yes.
Yeah, I'm just like, trying to, sort of awe-inspire and also engage that your presence really matters this time.
Absolutely.
And I'm happy to stick around, everyone. I know that we are done with the Swarm intelligence exercise and the walkthrough. Hope everyone's comfortable, but I'm sticking around if you want to chit chat or any concerns, because if you have time, let's hang out. I still have less than 30, but that many minutes, and happy to discuss the Metaverse Safety Week, how it's coming along.
I will just quickly mention, I think Banajit, you saw the last email went back. We have almost finalized the questions from each of the roundtables, each of the days. We do not have